What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Victor Wembanyama. Right, Victor Wembanyama went off on the Dallas Mavericks. Right, 40 points, and I mean his stat line was just crazy. And it wasn't really just about the stats. It was just like total domination, and the way he dominated it just seemed like it was a statement for him, right? And so now when people see the way that he played in that game, you got people saying now that Victor Wembanyama is going to be the face of the NBA, which I think, even though he put on he dominated, he put on a show. I think it's a little bit premature, number one, right? To say that he's the face of the NBA. And that was a spectacular performance that he put on. But I think it's premature. Um, let me see a few more games, like that, you know, and then I'll say it. But I do like the fact that he don't shoot a lot of jumpers, right? And he is somebody who uses, like, he has a definite advantage, and so he uses his advantage. So what is this going to mean for the NBA? Like, if you got Victor Wembanyama using his height advantage, which he should, in the low post, and can't nobody stop him, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Old school basketball is coming back. You are going to have guys like that. The league is going to need people like Anthony Mason. They're going to need guys like Charles Oakley, um, those old school power forwards, those old school centers who are going to lean on, people, teams are going to fight back. So you fight fire with fire. They're going to bring people in there that are maybe shorter but more physical. He's going to, if he want to be the first, if Victor Wembanyama wants to be the face of the league, then they already. I mean, they already have something for that. Kareem, it was hard for Kareem. Kareem dominated in the paint, and Kareem had that sky hook, right? And if, like I said, the game is evolving. It's not even evolving. It's like a cycle. You see right now, you see that that mid-range game is coming back, right? Shea Alexander, what Shea Gilgris Alexander, he got the mid-range. Kawhi Leonard, what Kawhi Leonard is kind of phasing out. But those young players like Tyrese Halliburton, pretty good mid-range game, right? So the mid-range is coming back. Who else wants to shoot the mid-range now? Anthony Edwards. He's developing his. The game is going. It's just like a cycle. So when you have a guy who is 7 feet, I think he like 7'4", around 7'4", and he dominated the way he did, that just put the rest of the league on notice that you're going to have to defend this different. You're not going to be able to defend a 7-foot guy with a roster full of finesse basketball players. It's not going to work. So I think this year, Victor Wembanyama, and probably the next year to come, he's going to dominate. Until teams come back with those power forwards and those big centers, those big guys who going to lean on them, like Artis Gilmore's and all those old school centers. Basketball is this cycle is just coming back around. So we've seen this before, and the response to this is to bring back those power forwards and old school basketball players. That's what's going to happen. But I like the way he played. He's 7 feet tall. He's using his advantage. But the game is going to get back to the way they play in the 80s and in the 90s and the early, especially the 80s and the 90s, man, when you had guys like what's Alonzo, Alonzo Mourning, dudes that's 6'9", 6'10", that's just that just going to lean on you. So yeah, yeah, man. I mean, it's a good look for the NBA, and it'll be so hard, in my opinion, for a big man to be the face of the NBA because another reason is it's just so hard for the average person to be able to identify with somebody who's 7 feet tall. What's the average height of the average height of a man is probably like about like what 5'10", 5'11", something like that. Or it could be even shorter than 5'10", right? So I don't know if he could be the face of the league. He could be, like I said, like what Kareem was to the league. He can be what, yeah, I think he could be what Kareem been to the league. But they will, the NBA is going to start producing those power forwards the way they did in the '80s and well, even in the early, what was the guy name? Was that Gus Johnson? Oh man, this dude was big. Them guy and they gave Kareem the centers in the league, Artis Gilmore, um, Bob Lanier. Those guys gave Kareem a hard way to go. It wasn't you had the guy who played at Detroit. His name was Edwards. What was it Dennis Edwards? Then you had Robert Parrish. They lean on you, and that's what's going to happen with Wembanyama. So it's good to see this because that's how you know that this, like there's a cycle. The way the NBA was doing it in the '70s and the '80s and the '90s was the right way, and it's coming back around. These finesse basketball players, um, you know, and I think that maybe for a few years he will have some success until teams figure out we're like, all right, we're gonna have to be more physical with this guy. Um, yeah, it really because when you look at all the teams, it makes basically how they're how they're constructed. You don't have an Anthony Mason or a Charles Oakley on any of these teams, right? You don't have an Alonzo Mourning on any of these teams. You got I like Bam Adebayo as as a defender because he's tall and he's athletic and he's a skilled basketball player. Bam can play inside and out for somebody who's a big man, right? But even Bam, I think, Bam Adebayo is at a disadvantage when it comes to a guy like Victor Wembanyama. And this right here, Victor Wembanyama is going to cause the game to go back to the way they used to play in the early days. And so that cycle is it's coming back. We already seen it with the mid-range, that cycle is coming back. And they're gonna have to get physical with him because he's not the biggest kid on the court. And he not gonna shoot no threes. He took three, he took two. I think it was two 3-pointers he shot during that game, during the game when they beat who they beat, the Mavericks? Or was it the Pelicans? I'm not sure who they beat, but he went to it was Anthony Edwards in his team, so it was the Mavericks. So he went to work on them, and that's what that is going to cause everybody to be like, all right, we're going to need some guys in here that's really going to be able to be strong enough to bump with this guy and push him out the paint. And because that's the way basketball is supposed to be played. Like it's the closer you get to the rim, the higher percentage you're going to shoot because, the easier shots. And if you don't have anybody in the game that can test his shot, at least be able to get him off that block. And how do you get this guy off the block? He's 7 feet tall. You have guys in there leaning on him, pushing on him, and beating them up throughout the season, throughout the game, throughout the season. And then he will adjust his game and find other ways to score. Yeah, this finesse game right now is ripe for the picking, but later on you'll see that teams will start to bring back those power forwards and those guys who used to lean on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that's going to be that'll be good for basketball, in my opinion. So That's my take on it. I don't know if he's gonna be the face of the league. I know that Victor Wembanyama is very good. Um, but I don't know if he's gonna be the face of the league. That's all I gotta say. But mark my words, though, the power forwards are on their way back. You need a power forward when you got somebody like Victor Wembanyama. You want him shooting threes, you know. And so yeah, and that's my take on it, man. But it was good to see. It was a good game to watch. But yeah, that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video.